one quick tip that I found that helps me a lot, because it's so true. You have all this time to think, and it's very easy to think your way into a mistake. So, when you're getting ready to serve, and I don't, it might be a little hard to demo, so I'll just talk through it. But, you're in the ready position. That's why a lot of players like to have some kind of ritual, and I'll speak to this moment. Like, they might bounce the ball once or 3 times. It's like an anchor to help you center yourself. And then something that's really helpful that ties in with the breath is, before we get to that, another little tip, just making sure that if you're a righty, your right hand is relaxed. So, you have your racket in your left hand, or your non-dominant hand, and then just take your dominant hand off the grip. You can just like lift the fingers off for a moment. Thanks, Joe. Just to check in that you don't have a death grip on it, because that's not a great way to start. And okay, make sure you're relaxed. And then right before you're going to begin the motion, take a deep exhale, like we just talked about. Let all the air out. And then inhale as you're about to start your motion, because you want your movement synchronized with your breath. So what'll happen is you exhale and then you inhale, and you'll exhale again as you hit.
Oh, that's
That'll
good.
give that extra power, and that's why players sometimes make what's called like a grunting noise. It doesn't have to be Sharapova level, but just an exhale. It doesn't even have to be an audible one. Like if you've watched Roger Federer play, you never really heard him. But the synchronization of breathing with motion is very, very powerful. Same idea with the serve and pickleball. You can still, check in, check your grip strength, take your fingers off. It's not as common to do the ball bouncing with pickleball, but you could experiment with it, or just take an exhale breath and then go for it.
I just kind of feel like, especially with what you just did, Kalindi, maybe we should just move into that mindfulness now. I'm just going to switch our agenda up a little bit. I thought that would be a good thing to segue into.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, this exercise is to help with that self-critical voice that can whisper in our ear. It's called a self-compassion break. And I think especially, athletes, and then if we're talking about the tennis and pickleball industries and coaches, there's a male dominance, which may have the tendency to self-compassion, like what kind of woo-woo hippie nonsense are you trying to, throw at me? So I'll just give a little bit of an explanation of mindful self-compassion and the scientific basis of it. So like mindfulness, which of course has been around for many hundreds and hundreds of years, and it came to the West, and then it has become more popularized, especially with modern technology and science, and looking at brain scans and the impacts of mindfulness to help with reducing anxiety and even chronic pain and all kinds of benefits. So mindful self-compassion has all of those same benefits. It was developed by 2 individuals in the field who wanted to add that extra, who saw the need for that extra element of it, and has just a whole host of benefits: improved focus, well-being, decreased anxiety, depression. Like it just is a overall holistic benefit, which can help on or off the court. So a self-compassion break is something you can do very quickly in a short amount of time. So even on a changeover on the court, and it's just a way to check in with yourself and give yourself a little bit of self-kindness, just kind of like how you might pep up your doubles partner if they're feeling down. It's something you can do for yourself. So I think the best way to get a feel for this is if I'll take you through it. So go ahead and just, find a nice comfortable spot and let all your air out on a nice exhale, and then let that inhale arise naturally. And you can go ahead and close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or take a soft, unfocused gaze in front of you. And now I'd like you to bring to mind a recent experience that may have caused you some distress or discomfort. It doesn't have to be crazy intense. So, maybe on a 1 to 10 scale, if 10 was one of the most, painful experiences of your life, and 0 is you're going for a lovely stroll in the park, maybe pick something around a 5. So just something that caused a little bit of discomfort. And, bring that experience to mind. So just see if you can, relive it a little bit, bring to mind, what it felt like, how you felt, the emotions that came up. Notice, where you're feeling that in your body, in your mind. And now the first step in the self-compassion break is simply to recognize that you're having a difficult moment. So you would just acknowledge to yourself, either out loud or just in your head, this is a challenging moment, or this is a moment of suffering, this is a moment of discomfort. Whatever word choice feels right to you. The typical one in the field was, this is a moment of suffering. I personally haven't always resonated with that word, as it seemed like a very intense experience. And so I'll usually pick something like, oh, this was a moment of, maybe discomfort, or this is hard, or anything that acknowledges your experience to yourself. And then the second step is to take a broader perspective with it, and just, think about the fact that there's lots of other people that are also experiencing, their own difficult times, suffering, hardships, discomforts, possibly even a very similar experience to the one you're experiencing. After all, there's many human beings in the world, and we all share a lot of similar experiences. So this is called bringing in common humanity, and it's a reminder to ourselves that we're not alone. When we experience a difficult moment, we tend to go in our own heads and feel like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is like the worst thing. And we're thinking pretty much just of ourselves, and not taking that broader perspective. And then finally, the last thing is to give ourselves a little bit of comfort, support, what you would want a friend to give you, or you to give a friend. So, this might be, you could give yourself a little hug, like, which is also can be a nice little gentle stretch. You might, if you're on the court, it might be something as simple as, touching your fingertips together for a moment. There may not even be a touch element involved. You might just, say some kind of positive affirmation to yourself, like, it's going to be okay, may all be well, let me just come into the moment, whatever resonates, with you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you can go ahead and open your eyes up again. And, this kind of I was explaining a lot through it, but, really once you get familiar with it, that kind of practice, you could turn it into a longer meditation, 5, 10, 15 minutes, but it could also be just a quick 30-second check-in anytime you're feeling stressed out.